Hello class. So we are going to start our grade 10 chapter 1, that is resources and development. Let me introduce myself. My name is Ramya Gapli and I am your social science teacher. First, what is this resource? And ये क्या है? अभी हमको क्यों पढ़ना है? Why should we learn about a resource? What is this resource? Let us understand this. Now, when I am talking about resource, and I have to talk even about resource development. So when I am talking about resource, we are even talking about their development. So anything which is around us, which is some kind of need is getting satisfied because of that particular thing, we can call it as a resource, like our wind, water, solar, biomass, this along with this all the things which are around us, even this pen, pencil, paper, all are resources. Like for example, now it's very hot and it's a summer. If I ask you, can I switch off your fan, can I switch off your AC, will you be comfortable with it? I don't think so that you will be comfortable, because that particular fan or AC is satisfying your need. So anything which is satisfying your need could be termed as a resource. So in this chapter we are going to read about this resources as well as the development. This is the minute one. The larger one, now we are having the Iran and Israel war, because of which a resource is very scarce today. That is, people are thinking about the fossil fuels. So they are also the resources, because they are also satisfying our need. So resources and development. So this is the chapter what we are going to talk about. Now something which is available in our physical environment, that is in nature, usually human beings use the particular technology that they have, and in one institution they'll change that substance into a resource. In simple terms, something which is available in nature, that is in our physical environment, using the technology that we have in an institute, if we change it into something which is very useful, and this is done by a human being, so usually we call it as a resource. So technology, natural available things, the institutions, and firstly and foremostly human being are an important resource, right? Human being is the one who will be converting the substances into the resources using these three factors. Right. So when we talk about a resource, the definition which is given to you in your textbook is anything which will be satisfying your needs, and as well as that should be technologically accessible. That is, we can easily access that particular thing through technology. Economically feasible, something which we can afford, and culturally acceptable, something which is culturally accepted. Then we can term it as a resource. Now, when I want to understand the resources more, I should classify them into different types. So when I want to classify the resources, I can classify them into natural as well as the human resource. So when I am talking about natural resources, I can talk about renewable and non-renewable resources. Human, they are structure and institutions, quality and quantitative. To understand this human resources, we will be taking that any particular person who invests some kind of money on him and becomes a doctor, teacher, lawyer, then that particular human, through the institutions, through the structures, through his quality and quantity work, he will become a resource. In simple words, lawyer, teacher, doctor, all these are the human resources. Likewise, naturally available things which could be renewable or non-renewable are also the resources. Coming to renewable resources, something which could be continuous or in flow, like for example wind or water could be termed as a renewable resource. Further in that, we are having biological resources, that is natural vegetation and wildlife. Apart from that, we have recyclable, that is metals, and non-recyclable, that is fossil fuels. All these comes under the natural resource. Now, let me pause and take you to something which is very, very important and should come to your focus. In our whole grade 10 textbook, we are going to read second chapter, natural vegetation and wildlife. That is, we are going to study biological resources in detail. After that, we are having water as a resource as a chapter. That is chapter 3 of geography. That is, we are going to study this continuous or flow, that is water resource, in our third chapter. Later on, we are having agriculture. We are having even the chapters upon minerals. So in detail, we are going to study about renewable, non-renewable resources in detail there. So in short, we are going to study all these resources in detail in our grade 10. So now, coming back to the chapter again. So as we are talking about the resources and their classification, to understand them better, basing on different criteria, we have classified them. So when I classify you as male and female, what is the criteria of my classification? Gender. So in a similar way, if I take origin as a criteria for classification, that is on the basis, that is the basis of the classification, then I classify them into biotic and abiotic resources. Biotic are those which are living, which are around us, and abiotic are those which are non-living, which are around us. Like biotic resources, I can term what are the biotic one, all the living beings which are around, like the wildlife, natural vegetation, all these are biotic. Human being are biotic. Abiotic, pen, pencil, paper, chair, all these are abiotic resources which are around you. Coming to the next kind of classification, basing on exhaustibility, if we classify, we can classify them into two again: renewable resources, non-renewable resources. To talk more about renewable resources, the resources which could be easily replenished and which are abundantly available in nature, we call them as renewable resources. Example: sunlight, air, wind, water. These are continuously available for us, so we call them as renewable resources. Coming to next kind of resource, that is which like the coal, gas and oil, which are non-renewable resources and which take some years or millions of years to form. Like fossil fuels are called non-renewable resources. So usually, mostly we are using non-renewable resources now, so this is only creating us the problem, right? We will talk more about these classifications in our further classes. Now next, apart from that, if we classify the resources on the basis of ownership, we can classify them into individual resources, community resources, natural resources and international resources. Okay, so when we are talking about the resources again, individual resources, community resources, natural and international resources. So when we talk about individual resources, usually the things which are owned by an individual, example is land, property, house, cars, etc. These are all individual resources. Community resources, where the whole community has the access for it, like public gardens, some kind of community halls. All these are the examples of community resources. Coming further to talk about national resources, all the resources which belong to the nation and the country has the legal rights on it, we usually term them as the national resources. Next are international resources. So when we talk about the international resources here, usually now this is the Indian peninsula. Apart from Indian peninsula, up to an area of 200 nautical miles, not it's given 200 kilometers here, not 200 kilometers, up to the length of 200 nautical miles, we usually call it, this water belongs to Indian peninsula, right? So beyond this 200 nautical miles, usually we can call that particular thing okay, sorry for that. Okay, so when we are talking about international resources, usually now this is the Indian peninsula. So beyond 200 nautical miles, if this is 200 nautical miles limit, beyond 200 nautical miles it will be international waters, and before 200 nautical miles it will be Indian water. So when I am talking about this particular thing, this area where we have marked as 200 nautical miles, it is called as exclusive economic zone. So whatever are inside the exclusive economic zone, they belong to India or that particular country. Apart from 200 nautical miles, they are the international waters. So when we are talking about the international resources, so usually India has this particular exclusive economic zone. Beyond this, all the ocean water is called as the international resource, and to use this international resources, we need to take the permission of the international agencies. Now on the basis of status of development, if we classify the resources, then we can classify them into potential resource, developed resource, stock and reserves. So potential are those which we can use in future, we have abundantly available, like for example we have wind energy which is not being presently used at its fullest form. Next, developed resources which we have abundantly available also, and we are using them. For example, solar energy, that's a developed resource. Stock, we have that resource abundantly available, but we don't have the technology to use them. For example, nuclear power, we usually have that technology, not muchly developed, so we need to develop that technology. Reserves are those which we have the technology also, but we are presently not using them. Next, apart from that, when I want to talk about the development of a resource, now what do I mean by development? Means how we are using this, what is this development? Let us take a minute to understand this. Usually, as the population is increasing day by day, the people started to use the resources more. Like पहले के ज़माने में कम population होता था, तो whatever resources were available, they were like satisfactory. Everyone used to use it properly. But now, as the population is increasing, the demand of these resources is also increasing, and also the distribution is creating economic inequalities. That is, the regions which are having these resources are becoming rich, and someone who is not having these resources are asking those particular regions for the resources. Now you can understand this better. Like Arab and Gulf countries are having the resource called crude oil, that is the particular kind of oil, gas, petroleum, all this. Now India is dependent on these Arab countries for the resource. So whichever particular countries or regions are having these resources are usually making the other countries to plead them for that resource, right? So this is some natural distribution which is there in our whole world. Apart from that, usually we are consuming more than the required amount that we are usually in the need. So this is also creating the problem. So this kind of developments in this particular resources are also causing us the problem. Now when we are talking about the unequal distribution of particular resource, कहीं पे resources ज़्यादा है, कहीं पे कम है, कहीं पे बिल्कुल भी नहीं है, कहीं पे बहुत कम, then we need to judiciously plan and use this. So Gandhiji has given one quote here. He told that resources are available in our nature for everyone's need, but they are not available for everyone's greed. So we amply have the resources if we properly and judiciously use it. If we are greedy about particular resource, then we cannot satisfy our needs. So what's the solution for this then? As the resources are not distributed properly, we need to at least plan them properly and use. So there are 3 steps involved in resource planning in India, and it's an important 3 marks question in your boards. What are the steps involved in resource planning in India? So usually resource planning is a complex process, so it involves 3 important steps. First important step is identification of the particular resource. So we can identify a resource by surveying, mapping, qualitative and quantitative analysis. Second is evolving a plan, a structural plan with proper technology skills, so that we can properly plan and use it. Third is matching this particular plan with the national development plan. So these are the 3 steps involved. In simple words, if I say, first हमको identify करना है कि कौन सा resource कहाँ पे है, कितना है, कैसा है. Then plan according to the technology skills that we have and properly use it according to the national plan. National plan में जो भी steps दिए गए उससे match कर हमको use करना है. So these 3 are the very important steps. So if we follow, then we can do a proper resource planning, and whatever conflicts arise because of the uneven distribution of this resource, and then usually there will be a solution. Here I can give you one example. Usually the resources are abundantly available in the places of Bihar and Jharkhand. यहाँ पे minerals availability बहुत है, but there are no factories there. These resources, whichever metals are available there, are having industries everywhere in the other side of the India. So government has planned that properly and distributed the resources so that wherever is the industry, the raw material is available. So that's the proper resource planning. Now, when we talk about the different kinds of resources around us, land is one of the important resource for us in India. Land is something which will satisfy all your basic needs. So in the land, we are going to specifically talk about one important resource of in our country, that is soil. Now usually what the bedrock would be there at the underneath of this. About that there will be substantial soil, about that would be sand, silt and clay, and there will be a topsoil. This is usually the soil profile which will be making the land to get formed. So this is one of the picture given in your textbook. Later when we are talking about this particular development, then as we are continuously using our resources, a day may come that where we don't have any resource for our further need. So as we are not using it properly, there was a meeting conducted in the year 1992 in a place called Rio de Janeiro in Brazil, so that they can discuss about the thing called sustainable development. Now what is this sustainable development? Usually without compromising the ability of for the future future generations, we need to use them properly now at present. So this will usually lead to a sustainable development, that is development which will meet the needs of the present generations without compromising the ability for the future generations, and their needs we usually call as sustainable development. So we need to properly plan and use our resources in such a way that we will also have them and save for certain resources for our future generations. Then usually it would be leading to a sustainable development. Now earth is not infinite, it is finite, so we have to not use our resources infinite as if they are freely available to us. We need to restrict and use them properly. Now what happens, अच्छा मैडम आपने तो बोला कि ये रिसोर्स है, इसको देखकर यूज करना है. What happen if I am not using them properly? Then if I am not using them properly, then I will be facing various serious consequences, and now I think we are already facing them. For example, the forest will the resources will get depleted in the sense there will be very less amount available to us. For example, groundwater, crude oil, forest, all these are getting depleted day by day. So this is happening because of the indiscriminate use of that resource. Now these resources are accumulated in few hands, then this will create the rich and poor people. That is, now Arab countries are rich compared to us. This is because they are having a resource called crude oil. So as the resources accumulated in their hands, it is creating a division of rich and poor, that is haves and have-nots in the society. Apart from this too, there is a major issue of global warming, ozone layer depletion, environmental degradation, which are all caused by the indiscriminate use of this resource. Apart from that, when we are coming and talking about the resources, one important factor or the resource what we are talking is land. So in our country, if we see land, it is distributed in various ways in forest, barren lands, area under non-agriculture, and pastures. So usually we are having a various land distribution in our country. Now this land distribution within our country is in the forms of forest, barren or wastelands, that is something which are under non-agricultural purposes like roads, buildings and all. Next, other than cultivated lands, that is permanent pastures and grazing lands, so where the cattle will be taken for grazing. Land under some tree crops or some kind of groves. Other would be culturably wasteland, that is which is left for more than 5 agricultural years uncultivated. Next is fallow land. Current fallow here means less than 1 year we have left it uncultivated, and other than fallow, that is 1 to 5 years of time we have left it uncultivated. Net sown area is where we are already growing the crops there. So like this, these are the various land use patterns within our country. Now this land what we are using for different uses is getting degraded day by day, that is it is losing its quality day by day. Why this is happening? There are various reasons for this land to get degraded, like industrial waste is getting dumped in it, we are doing continuously deforestation, we are even having overgrazing in that fields. Mining is one of the reason, quarrying is one of the reason, and over irrigation is one of the reason. So we are depleting our natural resources and we are leading to land degradation. So there are many reasons why we are doing. Wind erosion, soil erosion, water erosion are all the natural causes for land degradation. Climate change, anthropological reasons, overgrazing, all these are the reasons. Now in our textbook it is mentioned that usually Chhattisgarh, Jharkhand, Madhya Pradesh, Odisha, these are having, due to mining there is land degradation, and in the states like Gujarat, Rajasthan, Madhya Pradesh and Maharashtra, overgrazing is the reason for land degradation. In some states of Punjab, Haryana, Western UP, we are having over irrigation as the reason for land degradation. So this particular things are asked in our previous board examinations, so the important PYQs. So in which particular state, what is the reason for land degradation, you must remember. Now coming further to talk about the next important topic what we have is soil. Soil is something which is very important for us. Okay, soil is something which is very important for us. Now we are going to learn in very detail about this soil as a resource in our chapter. Now when we talk about soil, this is the map which is given in your textbook, if you can see. So usually we are having 6 different kinds of soils, that is forest and mountain soil, alluvial soil, red and yellow soil, black, literate and arid soil. So these are the mark which are marked in your textbook. Forest and mountain soil, which is in darker green color. This is the alluvial soil, this is the arid soil, this is the black soil, this is the red and yellow, and here and there in pink color you are having the laterite soil, right? So this is the previous year question. They have marked this on the map and asked which kind of soil it is, right? Apart from that, you are having this green color part here. This is also the alluvial soil, right? So it's a very important map. So they would be asking this map. This is frequently repeated particular map in our boards, so they can give you the features of the soil and question about it. Now coming first to discuss about the soils, if you can see, this is the Himalayan region which is having the forest and mountain soil. So this is the forest and mountain soil. Now this part is the Himalayan region is having it. Down to that we are having Gangetic plain, that is the Ganga river. So this Ganga river is ideal for and the most fertile soil it is having, that is alluvial soil, and it is very good for the growth of rice. Apart from that, down we are having here the arid soil. So here in arid soil we usually can grow only the crops which require less water in it. Apart from that, the Deccan Plateau region, all this is having the black soil and it is ideal for the growth of cotton. Down to that we are having here the red and yellow soil which is ideal for the growth of few crops, and specifically here at this parts we are having laterite soil, and also here we are having some parts of laterite soil. In Assam, Bhutan, in Assam areas also we are having a good kind of soil. Here this is very good for and ideal for the growth of tea. So let us learn more in detail about this particular different soils. So you can take a screenshot of this map so that you can read it better. So these are the different kinds of soils, which is, this is your textbook map, this is the 3D map of it. Now red and yellow soil, black soil, laterite soil, arid soil, forest and mountain soil. Right, now let us get further into the details of this. So when we are talking about the soil, first of all, the topmost layers of the earth's crust is usually called as a soil. Now soil consists of various kinds of things like sand, clay, organic matter, humus, bacteria and all. Apart from that, usually the weathering takes place because of the wind, animals and water, and the erosion, topmost layer of the soil will be washed away again and again by these factors. So this will usually lead to a chemical, physical and chemical and physical changes in the particular soil, and in different places because of the different parent rock it is having underneath, it will form different kinds of soils. In simple words if I say, नीचे parent rock का color जो होगा उसमें oxidation हो रहा है या फिर aerobic respiration हो रहा है, anaerobic respiration हो रहा है, उस सब पर depend कर top layer, that is the humus layer, will be formed in different colors and different textures. So जहाँ पे पानी कम रहेगा anaerobic respiration होगा जिसकी वजह से soil arid रहेगा. So like that usually we have different formations of the soil because of it. So when we talk about the soil formation process, there are 4 important factors which will influence its formation. First is the climate. So rate of weathering of the rocks is the type of vegetation which is found in that particular climate will also change the topography of that soil. Topography, when I talk, it is nothing but, when I talk about topography, that is nothing but the land which is there around that, how it is, what are the properties of that particular land also decides the type of soil. Nature of parent rock, so down in the position of that particular parent rock, the color of that position parent rock will decide the type of soil. Lastly, the vegetation, that is whichever plant is growing upon that will also decide the kind or type of soil. So usually why we need this soil? Soil has various uses for us. Man needs whatever shelter, clothing, all he will be getting from that soil. He uses the soil for agriculture. He is either directly or indirectly dependent for the food on the soil. So soils are very essential for us to even to grow the forest. So we need this particular soil for our various needs. So the first kind of soil which we need to study and which we need to remember is alluvial soil. Now alluvial soil is the most important soil, and it is nearly the most fertile soil in our whole India. So when we talk about alluvial soil, usually this soil is formed because of the three important Himalayan river systems, that is the Indus, Ganga and the Brahmaputra river system. So usually this is in the regions of Rajasthan, Gujarat. It is extended up to the regions of Rajasthan and Gujarat. It is having total the area covered by the Ganga river. Apart from that, you usually have the coastal areas of Krishna, Godavari also covered by this soil. Now when I am talking about this alluvial soil, it is formed by deposition of alluvium by the rivers, and usually it's in the northern plains. It will have the composition of sand, silt and clay. So if you can see the map over here, usually here we are having the alluvial soil. So this alluvial soil is usually formed because of the Himalayan river system, right? And it is extended up to the parts of Gujarat and Rajasthan also. So this whole Gangetic plain is having this sand, silt and as well as the clay are the main compositions of this. The old alluvial soil which is formed is usually called as the Bhangar, and the new alluvial soil which is formed, we are going to call it as the Khadar. So Khadar is usually having more conker nodules, and Bhangar is usually Khadar and Bhangar is usually having more kind of conker nodules, whereas Bhangar is the most fertile one. Apart from that, if you see the next soil that we have, is black soil. Now this black soil is something which is ideal for the growth of cotton. It is also called as the Reger soil. This is your previous year question, that is what is Reger soil. So Reger soil is nothing but the black soil, and it is called as black cotton soil also. So usually it is asked in the paper which is called as Reger soil, or which is the soil ideal for the growth of cotton. The answer would be black soil. So usually this soil is formed upon the Deccan Traps, that is of basalts. It is made up of lava flows. It is on the Maharashtra, Saurashtra, Malwa plateaus. It will have fine clay. It has good moisture holding capacity, and very important thing is it will develop deep cracks during the hot weathers, and it will be leachy in nature when we are adding water to it. So it will have more phosphoric content in it. Next kind of soil that we have is red and yellow soil. It is red in color because it is formed on the crystal igneous rock. So in its oxidized form, usually it will be red in color. In its hydrated form, it will be in yellow in color, right? So as the iron is diffused in it, usually it will be found red in color. Now in Tamil Nadu, Karnataka, Andhra Pradesh, Odisha and Jharkhand, you have this soil. Next, coming to laterite soil, is slightly acidic in nature, and the humus content is very less in this. Usually it will cause intense leaching, and the word laterite is derived from the word called later, which means nothing but brick. So due to its high temperatures and this will be usually acidic in nature. And very important question which could be asked from this is, it is less in humus content, and it is something which is formed by the Next, arid soil. When we are talking about the arid soil, usually it is found in the areas of Rajasthan. So sandy is the texture of this soil. Arid soil is sandy and saline. There is humus and moisture which is very less. Conker in this particular soil will prevent the seeping of groundwater. The last kind of soil that we have is forest and mountain soil. Usually hilly and mountain regions are having this, and the texture of the particular soil is not that supportive for the vegetation. We can only see coniferous trees growing in it, and also it will be snow covered in most of the Himalayan parts. Lastly, when we talk about soil, we will see some kind of removal of the top layer of the soil by some agents, that is natural agents like wind, water, as well as the animals, or it could be some artificial reasons. So because of this, the top layer is washed away. We usually call it as soil erosion. So this is one of the picture of the soil which is eroded by running water. Now, deforestation, overgrazing, and agricultural practices are also one of the reason for soil erosion. So, one kind of erosion that is frequently seen in our country because of the soil is gully erosion. So, whenever the water leaches up, it will wash away the topmost layer and it will be leaving unfertile land. So, this you can see, this is a picture of gully erosion. This particular land is called as bad land, because this particular running water is creating deep channels down to the earth's surface, making it unfit for cultivation. So this kind of gully erosions in the Chambal region are called ravines. So this gully erosion will make the land unfit for cultivation. So when the topmost sheet of the soil is washed away, we will call it as sheet erosion. So to prevent the soil erosion and to conserve our soil, we have certain methods like counter ploughing. We need to follow the contour lines and plough our areas. In hilly regions, we use terrace cultivation, and strip cropping also one of the method, like we will grow strips of grasses side to our crop to prevent the soil erosion. Shelter beds, that is growing rows of trees together so that we will prevent the soil erosion. Afforestation is one of the practice, and stopping the overgrazing of the animals is also one of the measures. So these are the measures of soil conservation in our country. Right. Thank you.